Welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, the only show that takes you inside the world of franchising, with hosts Tim Parmeter and Danielle Wright.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, brought to you by Fran Coach. I am Tim Parmeter, and with me as always is Danielle Wright.
That's me.
Danielle and I on this show are giving you a 360-degree view of the franchising industry, helping properly educate you on this amazing industry and all of the possibilities that it can bring to you. Becoming a franchise owner, should you do it? How do you find the best one? How do you succeed once you are a franchise owner? And then how do you take a business and turn it into a franchisor? You can't be a franchise owner if we don't have franchisors.
Right.
And so tonight is part 2 of a 3-part series on just that aspect of this, is taking a business and turning it into a franchisor. Last week we talked about kind of like the should you or not.
Right, the readiness test.
Right, and so, and again, you can find that on francoach.net in the Creative Shift section for what those readiness assessments are for should I become a franchisor. Today we've kind of moved on to, I think this is for us.
Yeah, I've checked most of the boxes. I'm at an 80%. Yeah.
We're, like above us, we're gonna at least be a B student with this.
Right.
And so then there's this thing called money that we've got to discuss of what it takes, what's it for, things to kind of be cognizant of along the way.
I think there's like 5 things, right? Like we were talking legal, we're talking operations, we're talking money, or marketing, and then marketing and branding, because branding is not the same as marketing.
Correct. And there will be a quiz on those 5 things later. So
Look at me, I got 5 things.
Be prepared. But before we get into that, let's talk about some fun facts with Danielle's franchise fun fact. What you got for us tonight?
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Kind of where we're going with all of this. Mm-hmm. Wait for it.
Waiting.
What is the percentage of franchise businesses that are still family-owned or founder-led in the first 10 years? I just need a percentage.
So franchises is operating for 10 years. What percent is still
family-owned or founder-led?
Family founder-led. I'm going to say 62%.
Wrong. Do you want another shot at the apple?
Higher or lower?
No, there's no additional questions that you get to ask.
Don't
you
make
just
this
have
very
to
easy.
No,
I've got
because
a
then I have to tell you
1% chance of being right.
I know. It's kind of the point.
Pretty high for me.
Yeah.
So let's go with 37%.
No. Ready for the answer?
Yes.
Drum roll, please. 90% of franchise businesses or brands are still family-owned and founder-led in the first 10 years of operation.
90%
90%.
Still are.
Most are not corporate giants.
So there's the thing that happens a couple months ago. There's Thanksgiving, then there's Black Friday, and then there's Small Business Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think
Small Shop Saturday. Yeah.
Right. And like you and I've talked about this just like in our lives. It's like those are franchises too.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so again, and not just obviously the individual locations, but what you're saying is the majority of the franchisors are still essentially local family businesses.
Well, think about the guests that we've had, right? Like, who's still running Unleashed?
The guy who started the whole bad boy, right?
Poolworks. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you see a trend.
I do. That's 2 for 2. That's actually 100% of our guests over the last month. Yeah. So.
And then, so when you think corporate giant, we had Neighborly on. They are.
But that's well past 10 years.
But that's well past 10 years.
That was still family. I don't know for how long, but that
was for a
was
long time. Like
named after the family
Correct.
until 5-6 years ago.
Correct.
Right.
So
cool.
Was that a good fun fact?
I like that fun fact.
And that leads into what we're talking about
today. Exactly. So when we come back after the break, let's talk money and the real cost of this, right? And the things that you need to spend money on, and kind of how to kind of plan and budget for that, and probably even a couple things to be aware of with this. So that's coming up right after the break here on the Franchising 360 Show. We are back on the Franchising 360 Show. Tim Parmeter, Danielle Wright. We are talking about the real cost to become a franchisor, and so there's some, frankly, probably some businesses or people out there that are going to say, oh sure, Danielle, I can turn your business into franchise. I just got to get you an FDD, right? So the cost of this is so much more than the legal side of things. So where would you start kind of talking to people about just that? What is it going to cost?
So I think that I'm big about checklists. I'm big about let's follow a process, right? Why? Because we're in franchising.
Right.
So you need to think, one, there's the legal component, right? You can't offer a franchise without making sure all your legal ducks are in a row.
You do clearly need it. It's just not even remotely the only thing.
It's not, and it's probably not always the place to start.
Right.
Infrastructure.
Okay.
And that's a broad meaning. We'll talk about that in detail. People support costs. There's got to be people, there's got to be support, and there's a cost to that. And then the financial reality check. How do I recoup all of this money back? You got to make sure that you're doing all of the things to make that investment worth the while. So start with those benchmarkers. Typically, when I'm talking to clients and candidates now, I focus less on the legal piece of that because there are plenty of great attorneys in franchising. We've had them on the show. Go back and watch an episode with one or two of them on here.
We got a guy or a gal for that.
That's the easiest piece. The document itself is plug and play. It's regulated. Not making many changes.
There's not much special about your FDD versus the other 4,000 out there.
The piece that I tell every brand, every business that says, hey, I want to become a franchise, what does that look like? Start with the operations manual. There are companies that will help you put that together. You can try to do it, but just like you said with Frank Coach, you just do it instinctively.
Yeah.
So you need a third party to come in and poke the holes, ask the questions, and kind of help you build that together because, funny enough, you're going to have every detail.
Yeah.
Every detail. You flip the lights on, you turn the lights off, you wash this, you sanitize this. Think about every step you take in a day, and you will need to be documenting basically every step that you take.
Right.
And because again, it's going to start out really big, but you got to have all of the intel to be able to discern it down to this is what needs to be actionable. So you've got the ops manual, you've got training, okay.
Oh, I got to train people. Oh my gosh.
And not just that, you got to train people that also then have to train people.
Right.
So
there's training the owner and then there's training the owner's staff.
Right. And not every franchise provides all of that. So if you want to be a franchise that's a cut above the rest, make sure you have touched every aspect of, I have educated you beyond the shadow of a doubt how to do this. Right.
But stop on that point for a second, because again, I'm just going to train the owner and the owners be fine. Okay, well, what about when the owner hasn't ever hired or managed the person that they need for that?
Speak to that from how many people you have placed in businesses that have no understanding of what that looks like. Give me an example.
Almost every single person ever that starts a franchise has no experience in that industry.
We had Logan from Mr. Appliance.
Yes.
Did he know anything about appliance repair?
Nope. And I love my boy Logan to death. Well, my kid and that one too, right? Both named Logan. But Logan probably couldn't have spelled appliance before he became Mr. Appliance. Love you, Logan. But no, he didn't know anything about it. So
but he's also not out there.
But
you have to be able to talk the lingo.
You have to be able to talk. You have to learn that, right? But again, if you've never done it, you definitely need help training people and managing them, and even knowing how to find somebody competent for that position.
So then, when you think about the expenses that you're going to be investing, I'm never going to say on here how much that's going to cost, right? Because there are ways to do it inexpensively. I'm not going to say cheap, inexpensively, or you go, hey. Yeah. Here it all is. It's the creme de la creme. You are going to walk out of here feeling very confident about being an owner and an operator of this system, right? So think about an LMS system. Think about building that system. We're in the process of doing that ourselves. And I can tell you that my personal experience for building a training program is just the build is $15,000.
Right.
We're not talking about the time to create the content, have the content reviewed. We can go down a rabbit hole of all of that. Then you have to have marketing. How am I getting customers? Branding. How big is your brand? If you are Tim's Sandwich Shop in Dubuque, Iowa, who knows that?
Right.
Probably no one even in Dubuque.
Right.
And then you have to have vendors. right? Who's giving us the supplies? Where am I
Right.
ordering
Where am I getting the
for?
napkins for that? Right.
And then what is your cost with those suppliers to provide those things?
Right.
And then the CRM and tech stack. I've just now added a big question mark of I have to have a customer relationship management system.
Right.
That's what a CRM is. I have to have a tech platform. Like maybe I need an app. Maybe I need this. You really have to think about how does your brand continue to evolve in the future? How does it compete against others? And that's an expense that it's kind of like what they call that thing, a market study.
Well, and you talked about the marketing
And we gloss over that just because
and that's
it's
a
so
whole
big.
another series of things, right? But there's the marketing for your owners to get customers, but then there's the marketing for you to get owners. And
Yes.
and I've heard you a zillion times over and over. You talk about an owner.
Yeah, my sweet spot is Fran Dev marketing.
Right,
Friends.
but you talk about you're going to be the franchisor. You're now essentially running two businesses.
Right.
Those two businesses each have their own type
Budgets,
of marketing
yeah.
and budget.
Yeah.
Right. So that
So as you
there's
think
that
about
also.
the bigger picture of this is how much it's going to cost. Like right now, you're just literally, and you haven't even touched the legal piece of that.
Right.
Then you got people in support, right? Like what does that mean?
Oh, like I get owners, I probably should support them.
Right, but what do you think is included in that?
Well, that there's the training component, but there's also just we've had last couple guests who all of a sudden busted out FBC, franchise business coaches, people
Or
that
consultant
are
or whatever.
right? So with that again, because you don't want your owners out there on an island, because they're gonna struggle and then they're gonna deviate and they're gonna damage the brand.
Okay, so keep going. You've got an FBC, so that's a support person
Right.
for a franchise owner. What else?
Well, if there's technology, that's a unique type
Okay,
of support
keep
person. Well, there's going to be money going in and out, so we need somebody from a financial standpoint.
Correct. Keep going.
I'm getting a little tired. I'm
I
running out
know,
of things.
and you're
Like,
running out of money.
right. And we really, and again, now early on, this is where everybody's got to come
Yeah.
decide. As an owner, there's only so many hats you can wear.
Correct.
Like and be remotely effective, but you
And
don't
I keep
have to be
talking about that
huge.
7 spinning plates graphic. Like,
Right.
if it's not up on the screen, you can find it on our website.
It is
like,
now, it's right there.
It literally is a human character spinning a bunch of plates. This is something a franchise owner needs to think about. It's something you as a franchisor need to think about. Like all of the same things that run a franchise business are also going to run the franchisor. So who's going to do them? There are people that can double into certain capacities. But then at what inflection point, that's why you hire a consultant,
Right.
do I need to add more people to these I have someone right now, like, do I hire an ops person because I have 2 franchise owners? Or do I invest money elsewhere? I'm like, can you and your partner not support those 2 franchise owners? Yes. Then why would you need to hire a human?
Right.
Well, I do the Fran Dev sales. Well, then let's find you a Fran Dev salesperson or a manager or something. Like those are just things that people don't think about, and that's what we're here to help them figure out.
Right, and you're the owner, so I always say like the owner, you do what you do best and you hire for the rest.
Right.
You can only be best at so many different things
Correct.
within there, and again,
Control.
right, we're running 2 different businesses at
Yep.
this point as well. So let's come back to after the break a little bit more on things that we need to think
Oh,
about.
they're still up. Like we haven't talked about financials.
So apparently that's going to be next, but a lot more on kind of the money side of this, and not necessarily to scare you off, but just we want people again properly
To be
educated on
prepared.
what this is
Yep.
all about. So more on all of this when we come back on the Franchising 360 show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Franchising 360 show alongside Danielle Wright. I'm Tim Parmeter. We are talking about taking your business and becoming a franchisor with this and the money that's required. And we, I think people tend to think the legal side, oh, I have to get an FTD and now I'm a franchisor, which technically, yes,
Yeah.
right? But
You can sell franchises.
right, but
should you?
We wanted to kind of also point out all of the other things you have to think about financially. But let's come back to there is a legal component of this, and yes, there's the FTD, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah, so to the same point, it's yes, you can get a franchise agreement, franchise disclosure document, and start selling franchises. I think the thing that we share here is we've had many years in the industry. Sometimes if you just do that, we're seeing more failure of a business.
Yeah.
and the corporate locations that they've built then become unprofitable locations because they've taken all of their money and put it into this because they didn't take the right steps forward. Now, I'll be the first to say neither one of us are legal experts. Do we agree?
1,000%.
I am not. If you work with Creative Shift and Brand Coach, that we will put you in touch with the right people, which is why you hire a consultant. Help me find the right people to do the right things. We're just speaking on our experience and what we've seen, right? So from a legal perspective, timing is big about this. We keep talking about money, but it's also time intensive. So make sure that you're in a space to give that time. Again, you're building a second business. How easy was it to build the first one?
Right, not easy.
Right. So building a second one is going to just be equally hard because the first one, you didn't have another business that you were running at that time.
Yeah. And I always want people to kind of think back to like, it's the, back in my day, I walked uphill in the snow both ways to school. Like, no, you didn't. But it was hard at the beginning, and now you've gotten to where it's running well enough that you're going to replicate it into a franchise system. It's hard to kind of remember, like, that was stinking a lot of work at the beginning.
It's like people with babies, right?
Yeah.
You have a baby, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a lot, right? And then by the time they get to 2, 3, they're toddling around, all of these things. You miss the baby, so then you have another one, you're like, I really forgot how hard this was. And it was probably harder now because you're older, and now you have the toddler, and now you have the baby.
You're a semi-absentee parent.
We tie franchising to everything that is life, right? You look at a franchise, it's like dating, right? I'm going to marry it. I'm going to sign an agreement. Now I've signed an agreement. Now we're going to have kids and this whole thing. It literally ties to everything that you have experienced in life at some point. And so from a legal perspective, that's why I'm giving that preface that we are not lawyers. We are not attorneys. We're not going to be the people that do this. But you can get an FDD. It's a pretty easy document. It's generally a flat cost. Lots of legal people will do it. You'll find them on the internet pretty easily. Don't go with the first one that makes sense. Tells you all the wonderful things. Date them. Find the right one for you and work with them. In that FDD will be a franchise agreement. It is the document that people will sign to become an owner in your system. There's state regulations. Okay. I'm pretty sure no one that's watching this that's not an industry person, what do you mean state regulations? What do I mean by state regulations, Tim?
Well, there's regulations in each state is what that means.
In some states.
In some states. So no, but
there's
if we just back up to the basics of the FDD, it has to be like updated annually in every single year in every single state.
Or with a material change.
Right, which that part gets all kind of forget
again,
about.
hire a lawyer.
The basics of it is every single year. Some states have more steps and kind of requirements to have that essentially approved in their
and the
state.
Federal Trade Commission does what?
Well, in theory, they regulate the whole darn thing.
Right. Hence the registration states, hence the review of the documents, hence the documents being all the same. It used to be called something else back in the day besides an FTD, but we're not going to go down what that used to be called because it's a fun little acronym. Kind of makes you chuckle. But the cost of that is pretty standard. Timeline is pretty standard. You can have an FTD fairly quickly. But again, in the FTD, you have to have what?
Ooh. 200 pages of legal jargon. No, but you need financials, right? Back to the money of
you're going to go to financials. What else do you need?
You need 24 items of stuff.
I can tell that you really know your FDD stuff.
Maybe
you need to sit through Creative Shift's FDD class.
Oh, I would love to do that. Can I sign up? I get a discount?
Yeah, sure. So you have to have the outline of training. Have you figured out your training? Like how many hours are in class? How many hours are outside of the classroom? You have to have a list of topics from your operations manual. You don't actually have to have the operations manual in there. You have to have the table of contents. So if those are the things that you need in your FDD, one would say, I should probably do those first. Versus,
because even when
you go to the financials and I go to well, you got to have this stuff.
Well, and even when people start out going, I got to get an FDD, and then they get started and they're like, oh, wait, I have to have these other things.
And that takes the timeline.
And are probably glossing over or doing it quickly just to get the FDD, thinking that's what it needs to be.
Cart, horse, right? Which one are you putting first?
But if that operations manual is not buttoned up and tested, and you've tried to break it, and you've had your 9-year-old try to go through there and do it, you're gonna have issues right off the bat.
So from a timeline perspective, you can get to become a franchise pretty quickly, right? It's going to cost you money.
Right.
Just be prepared. But it can happen as quickly as you are prepared, or it will take as long as how unprepared you are to do that. So, and then I think the big thing that we're holding out on is, how much is this going to cost, Danielle?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost him?
It's going to cost, I don't know, $500,000, maybe more. Right? Like, I mean, depending on how robust you want that to be, and
we're not just talking the investment into becoming a franchise.
Right.
Think bigger.
That's once you are a franchise, right? Now you don't immediately like start getting like raining $1,000 bills right off the bat.
Right.
Even when you get somebody to come on board and they pay the franchise fee,
that does not equal profit.
Correct. Right. That's coming off the royalties, which is
slow burn.
Years down the road.
Right. Slow burn, because that's the trick, right? Franchise fee doesn't equal profit. Royalties grow slow. So you have to envision, what do I need to survive up to 2 years? Like, what do I need? If I've got all of this infrastructure, I've got the marketing, I've got the branding, and I'm adding owners,
right?
Which then means what?
You're going to add more support people in there, right? So again, wherever you're
business
starting,
plan it out,
right? Wherever you're starting now, you're going to need.
Even though I hate business plans,
you're going to need more of probably all of that.
Yeah.
6 months, 12 months, right? Depending on what your growth is, and you don't want to grow. Everybody wants to grow quickly, but that also can be more detrimental than growing slowly.
Right, and it's franchises have you do business plans. The SBA has you do business plans. For the love or hate of a business plan, no one's asking you to write a 30-page synopsis of this. We're just saying, think through the economic layout to be able to do this, and tack on not 6 months of working expenses and working capital. Think 24 months of working capital for a growing organization.
Yeah. And again, just in general, you always want to think like worst case scenario planning versus, I think if everything goes perfectly, I think I can make it in
and we're not telling people not to do it. Like, do it for sure. Just understand, like, if you're going to cut costs and bootstrap it, and there are plenty of franchises that have, just know that, hey, I probably should earmark certain dollars for certain things, because it will determine the success or failure of your franchise system.
Absolutely. And then next week on the third part of this is, now we've got it. We've got it all planned out. We know the money.
We know the money.
Now how do we really build and grow it?
Right. Do I have something that someone's going to want to buy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to do that.
Just because I can do all of these things doesn't mean that something someone wants to own and operate.
Absolutely. In the meantime, if you're out there thinking, hey, I've gotten through the first 2 episodes, I may have something, francoach.net's where you find us, Create a Shift, Danielle, all of us are there to help you with that. But next week, let's come back to, let's see how we grow this thing. So that's Danielle Wright.
That's me.
I'm Tim Parmeter. This is the Franchising 360 Show. Thanks again for watching the Franchising 360 Show, brought to you by FranCoach. Danielle and I hope these episodes continue to educate you on the franchise industry. In between our episodes, if you would like to learn more about franchising and the ways in which FranCoach can help, there are a few places you should check out. First, be sure to listen to the award-winning Franchising 101 podcast. You can find this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Next, check out the FranCoach YouTube channel, FranCoach for You. You can catch past episodes of the Franchising 360 Show, plus tons of other content. If you like to read, we encourage you to check out the book, Becoming a Franchise Owner. And finally, when you are ready to take that first personalized step and explore franchise industry further, please reach out to our amazing team at FranCoach. There is never any fee for our service, so let us help you create your better tomorrow. Until next week, for Danielle Wright, I'm Tim Parmeter. Thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 Show.